My friends, we have an exclusive interview lined up, but just before we go to that, the really funny thing for the last half an hour, I swear you should have been in the studio to see it, Ray really thought we were serious. Ray really thought that his job was on the line, and he was turning pale. He was really getting worried with the results.
At the top of the hour, I walked down the hallway to get a glass of water. And I come back with our program director in the room with Kuhner discussing my job. So instantly I'm a little nervous, and I'm like, maybe I'm going to start doing some backroom dealing here. We're doing something to keep my job around. But I appreciate the support of Kuhner Country.
Yeah, all of you guys came through big time. I got to tell you, what's wonderful about Ray is that he has such a good heart. He's a very good-hearted guy. He's a wonderful guy, salt of the earth. And the thing about it is he's a little bit gullible because he's got such a good heart. No, he is. He really... So he's very easy to bug or to tease or play a prank on. So we're always sort of teasing or needling Ray all day long. But I got to tell you, he's a wonderful guy. Ray, in all honesty, I was just cracking up. You're pale. You're nervous. You're taking the calls so seriously. You're a great guy, Ray. Are you serious? You think I could ever live without you, buddy?
No, we're a well-oiled machine. Good team.
We got a great team here, Ray. And you're honestly, in all seriousness, you're a seminal part of it. My friends, today is the 60th anniversary of the Korean War. 60 years ago, our boys landed on the Korean Peninsula to liberate South Korea from communist aggression and communist totalitarianism. And instead of celebrating one of the greatest wars our troops and soldiers have ever fought in, many in the liberal mainstream media have been ignoring it or downplaying it. Well, to discuss this and so much more, we are now joined by a very special guest. He is Robert Morton. He is the publisher and editor of WorldTribune.com. He is also the managing editor of the national weekly edition of the Washington Times. He has been a journalist, an editor, a newsman for over 3 decades. He has one of the best sources in Washington, D.C. Believe me, this man is plugged in with Israeli intelligence sources, Middle Eastern intelligence sources, CIA intelligence sources. We are getting real with Robert right here on the Kuhner Show. Robert Morton, welcome to the Kuhner Show.
Jeff, it's a delight to be with you. I've got to tell you that I turned on the radio a few minutes ago so I could kind of sync up, with the culture of the show, and I heard this music playing solidly. I thought, what is this, an elevator? And the first thing that crossed my mind, frankly, was, at newspapers we have editors, so that if you write something that you shouldn't have, it gets taken out. And I thought, maybe Jeff has gone a little bit too far here. Maybe they pulled him off the air.
No, it was us just scheming a gag on Ray. It was nothing more than that, Robert. Listen, my buddy, let me ask you this. On WorldTribune.com, I know you run several other intelligence newsletters. There's Geostrategy, there's East Asia Intel. But at WorldTribune.com, which I encourage everybody to go, you want to talk about your finest news site for political and foreign policy and national security intelligence. Believe me, this is it. These are stories. It's almost like they're revealing classified information. You want to talk about being ahead of the curve. This is the site. Robert Morton is the man who runs it. Robert, you have a phenomenal story about North Korea. Today is the 60th anniversary of the Korean War. This is when we liberated South Korea from communist aggression from the North. We all know the tragic story afflicting the Korean Peninsula, while South Korea has now become one of the most prosperous, freest, modern nations in the world, an Asian tiger. The communist North is mired in mass starvation, a brutal police state, and a maniacal madman midget dictator who is threatening the world with nuclear weapons. And what did Pyongyang do to celebrate the 60th anniversary? Robert, the people are not going to believe this. Tell them what's in the story today.
Well, they presented an invoice for $65 trillion to the United States.
They sent us a bill for $65 trillion.
That's quite a lot of money, and as you say, Jeff, it's beyond chutzpah what North Korea has done. It is, just a basket case of a country. It is an ideologically pure, in their mind, communist state, propped up by China, and the ultimate rogue state, basically supplying missiles and weapons of mass destruction technology to Syria, and to Iran, and to basically the highest bidder.
Now, I'm just curious, in that warped mind of the midget dictator, of the the real dear leader. After I call Obama the dear leader. Well, he's known in North Korea as the dear leader. He's the ultimate dear leader.
Well, in a way, they're kind of mirror opposites of each other. The West version and the East version. Both, I think, a little bit narcissistic.
That's a very good point. You're saying, in other words, if you look at Kim Jong-il, who has a narcissistic personality, in many ways, Obama shares that very same, not just socialist agenda, but also the same kind of narcissistic personality.
Well, it certainly makes you think. It makes you wonder about the backgrounds of both men, what it must have been like growing up in their shoes.
Now, Robert, when the North Koreans present us with this $65 trillion invoice, this bill, how did they come to $65 trillion in their warped mind? Why do we owe them $65 trillion, trillion with a T?
Well, I have not seen their calculations, and they may not exist. We'd have to go and read the full translation of the KCNA news release in which it came out today in honor of the 60th anniversary of the beginning of the Korean War.
But, are they, is it war damages? Is it that we're responsible for the fact that they've starved and bankrupted their own people?
Well, the propaganda coming out of North Korea has been pretty consistent down through the years, and that is that the most evil nation on earth is the United States. And, of course, what is ironic, and I think it's probably another sign that Kim Jong-il is slowly fading from the scene, he is believed to be actually pretty much very fascinated by the American culture, particularly American films. So it's
so he's basically he's holed up in his palace. He's got heart problems, and he watches Hollywood movies all day. Is that basically what he does?
Yeah, he's had a stroke, and he's believed to be suffering from kidney failure. And he may not be that much longer for the world, because another story that we have out in the new issue of East Asia Intel, and I should mention that newsletter and Geostrategy Direct pay for the free site, which is World Tribune. But we have a story in the issue today saying that the aides to Kim Jong-il are beginning to withhold from him bad news. They seem to be giving him only the good news. They're protecting him from reality, which is an indication that there may really be a transition going on in North Korea. And that's
so, Robert, your sources are telling you that Kim Jong-il's days may be numbered.
They're pretty clearly numbered. He's clearly preparing for the transfer of power to his son, Kim Jong-un. And this is a young man who, there's only about one photo of him available, taken when he was a young boy. And then, of course, we had the sinking of the South Korean ship last month. That was an outrageous act, and there's a mystery as to what precipitated it. There's one body of thought that there was actually rogue elements in the North Korean military. And then there's also the possibility raised again in our new edition of East Asia Intel that China, which is the protector and the subsidizer of North Korea, may actually have had foreknowledge of this event.
Oh, really? That they knew about this attack ahead of time and let it go?
It's at least a possibility that cannot be dismissed.
Robert, listen, this is fascinating stuff. All of you out there, we are talking to Robert Morton, the editor and publisher of WorldTribune.com,